This is another Ask an iExec video podcast, and I got a great guest today, Richard Jones. Richard Jones has been director of sales for the LA Times, the New York Times, for Dun& Bradstreet. He's worked with some of the top ad agencies across the world and some of the best marketers in the world, and it's a pleasure to have him. So thanks a lot, Richard, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Richard is also one of iBank's expert writers in sales and marketing. You can go to blog.ibank.com to check out his weekly column. And we're going to talk with Richard a little bit today about some of the marketing trends in 2010, what some of the small business owners can do that can kind of boost sales in 2010, and we're going to kind of pick his brain and go from there. So, Richard, last 2 years were a little tough, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And marketing was kind of an interesting thing. Do I keep doing it? Do I not keep doing it? What are you seeing in the market? What did you see the last 2 years when it came to marketing and sales?
Well, obviously, the last 2 years have been unbelievably brutal for the small business marketer as well as the large marketer. However, the one thing that you're seeing in the trades are people like Hyundai Kia that really stepped up during the very difficult time and stole market share. But they also spent a lot more money than everybody else, and they were smart. They went out with messaging that mattered to the people. The was it the Hyundai or the Kia
Assurance or something.
the assurance
like that.
program?
Yeah,
where they
that
had,
was huge.
That was very big, and so you actually saw them grow their market share double digits. In fact, Fred Sattler, who's based here in Los Angeles with Initiative, he was the Ad Age was recognized him as a media maven, and there's only 16 of them in the country. I think there were 15 this year.
Wow.
But he was recognized as one of the top people. But it's because he had a great client who understood the value of we need to be present now. We need to be promoting now. When people are in an emotional state like we are right now, that's the time to make a difference. And so
Sure.
they've done that.
So some of the companies in the bad economy the last few years that cut their marketing, it could have hurt them actually.
It could have, but I think what you're seeing is people aren't cutting just to cut, although well, I'll take that back. You are seeing a lot of cutting.
Sure.
However, they're also spending their money differently. They're looking at, I mean, you've got not only the challenge of an economy that's collapsing around them, you also have this new emerging media that is hard to understand and keep up with. There's a lot of talk about social media, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, but there's so much that's going on, so the marketer is actually looking now, and because the metrics are available, it's not about, I've got $1 million to spend on marketing and advertising, or $100,000, whatever it is. It's where do I spend that money?
That's
and
right.
there's a lot of waste. There's been a lot of waste historically, so now they're really paring back on things that just aren't performing.
Sure.
And they're looking at the metric aspect of it. So these last 2 years, where's marketing gone? It's really gone to I want return on investment. I want analytics, and I want to. If I give you $1, prove to me how much I'm going to get back with that $1.
Exactly. All right, well, let's start with marketing. We want to give the small business owners, the iBank viewers, we want to give them some actionable takeaways as far as marketing in the new year. We'll start with marketing, then we'll go to sales. What are some of the marketing trends that you're seeing in 2010? Where can a small business owner go to boost sales as far as their marketing efforts?
It's, well, definitely digital and online, but you cannot give up the traditional media. So don't abandon traditional media. I'm seeing a lot of folks that are just saying, well, I'm going to go strictly to digital. You know what? Be careful there. There's a saying in Texas, dance with who brought you. If the traditional media has been working for you, don't cut it completely. Just cut the part that's not working. And sometimes it's hard to figure out, but don't abandon that. But digital, where the trends are in 2010, SEO, SEO, SEO. You've got to start there. That's sort of the base of the pyramid. You've got to make sure that when people are looking for your services or products, that you're as high up on that ranking as possible.
Sure.
So, the tools that are out there, you've got Google primary, that's definitely one. Bing is another one. You can go to, the social media. There's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. If you're a small business and you're going to the B2B route, LinkedIn is a great resource. You've got to start using those type of tools. If you're not using those tools, then in 2010 you need to make that one of your objectives.
Sure.
So as going forward with regards to the marketing efforts, definitely it's got to be the digital side and social media.
So going online is obviously important, but not forgetting traditional media efforts, maybe like direct mail or some of the other advertisements you may see in magazines could definitely produce an ROI if in fact it's appropriate.
Yes.
Okay.
You've got to think about your customer. Marketing is about, it's customer centric, customer first. That's why the social media is working so well, because it's a conversation.
That's right. It is a conversation.
It's a conversation. You get a chance to get feedback immediately, whether you like it or not. The immediate feedback is important. And early on, people were very offended by it. It's like, well, how can they say that about me? You know, it's,
Yeah.
well, the fact of the matter is, you know, it's their truth.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what you think. You've got to be able to have that conversation back and say, I'm sorry you had that experience. Let me tell you what our reality is and how we're going to correct that for you.
Okay, great. Let's go and talk a little bit about sales. So we did a little bit about marketing. Obviously, marketing drives sales. But what are some of the things that SMBs, small business owners, can look at as far as sales? Where do they go? What can they do? You talked to me a little bit before the interview about some benchmarking tactics.
Yes.
What can they do as far as sales?
Sales to me, new business development is critical, but don't abandon your the people that your current client base. So when you look at your you know, sales are broken up into 3-4 areas, in my opinion. You have your current account base. Look at that. How are you going to grow their business? Can you add on to that? So your current client base. You have your at-risk or recently lost. You know who they are. You've got to decide whether or not you're going to spend time on that. And if it's worth spending time on it, then be aggressive about it.
Sure.
The third thing is prospecting. A lot of people spend a lot of time and effort towards prospecting, but they don't do it very well.
Sure.
You know, go to the model your existing clients that are happy with you. Model those. Figure out, okay, what do they have in common and with the clients that are out there. Look at your competitors. I think we also talked about, you know, the Google AdWords, or not AdWords, but the Google
Google Alerts.
Google Alerts.
Yeah.
If you're not using Google Alerts for your competitors, do so. Find out what's going on with them. Find out what accounts they're winning. And if it's not the clients or the competitors that you're keeping track of, you should also be keeping track of your target audiences.
Absolutely.
Find out where their opportunities are. If they had a big win, there may be an opportunity for you. But don't wait until that opportunity shows up at the doorstep before you show up.
Sure.
You've got to be talking to them now with the anticipation that I'm building a relationship so that when they think of a need that I can manage, that I'm the first reference. Top of mind still is very, very critical.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, and lastly, to wrap up here, what are you seeing for some of the, you know, 2010, we're going to see some trends into 2010 as we come out of 2010. What are some of the trends you're seeing as far as sales and marketing? Do you think it's going to go up? Do you think it's going to go down? You know, Google's posting record profits, you know, this year. What are you seeing as far as trends, and where should people go? I mean, what should the mindset be?
It's, you know, it's unique to each industry. It's unique to each individual company, and you know, everyone's in their own unique situation. However, I think the general consensus is this year is definitely going to be a turnaround year. In some industries, it's going to be a little slower. Other industries are starting to see the benefit right now. You know, I'm encouraged because we monitor a lot of the advertising that's going on around the country, and I'm starting to see grand opening announcements. And it's in different markets, like Philadelphia, and I think Houston actually have some grand opening that's going on. So that's very encouraging because these are people that you probably made these decisions 6 months ago or much later, but they now are committed to it. You're seeing some more of those, I guess, robins of the spring or of economic
Sure,
so,
absolutely.
but we've got a turnaround going on. I think right now, if you haven't started your marketing campaigns, you need to start doing that. You need to be reaching out to your clients. Manage your website, email alerts, social media. As long as it's good for you, social media. The one thing I would caution for the professional services groups, if you're going to use social media, remember, have a guideline of how you're going to go about it and what can be said, because it's permanent record.
Sure.
And if someone says something to you that you don't agree with, know how you're going to address that. It's a little like crisis management, but be very careful about what you post because it is permanent.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the Toyota crisis going on right now with all these recalls, and you know, we kind of decided that. Well, why don't you go ahead and, you know?
Sure. With Toyota, this is just more of a broader macro view and just my personal opinion, but you've got the bank crisis that happened, so people felt like they were let down there. You've got the Bernie Madoff situation multiplied several times with smaller groups. So there's a lot of distrust, and then you have a well-known brand that was very trusted and still is, that really poorly handled this recall. But now they're all over it, and now they're making amends. You're going to see going forward, and I would encourage our listeners here that start incorporating with your messaging that, you know, they matter. The customer matters. It's about them, and they can trust you and be very responsive to their needs.
I'm not just a vendor anymore. I am a marketing partner. I want to help you be successful.
It is a one-on-one make more than the two can do it individually.
Beautiful. Hey, Richard, I thank you for the time. I really appreciate you coming out today. Again, guys, Richard's a wealth of knowledge. You can see him at blog.ibank.com for his weekly column, and it's been a pleasure to have him. So thanks, Richard.
Thank you.